Motrolix.
Welcome to the 16th episode of the Cadillac Society podcast, where we discuss the latest news, rumors, and anything else surrounding the iconic luxury marque. On today's episode, Cadillac teases the Lyriq-V. I'm your host G, and joining us as always is Cadillac Society Executive Editor, Alexander Luft.
Hey G, Lyriq-V.
Ready?
It rhymes. G and V. See?
See, dude, it worked out. Okay, so everything good?
Yeah. We were the first to report on the Lyriq-V back in June of 23, I believe.
Everybody, if you guys actually want to be in the know before everybody else, stop by CadillacSociety.com before we start. New listeners keep on finding us, so I'd like to take a few moments to remind them where they can find all of our episodes. CadillacSociety.com/podcast is the place to watch, listen, and subscribe to this show. You can also find us in all popular podcatchers. And if you enjoy this show, please share it, tweet it, put it on Facebook, send the YouTube link to your friends. We want even more people to know about the Cadillac Society podcast. So, Cadillac Lyriq-V. This is an interesting iteration.
It is. And I have to, before we even get into this, I have to say that this is a teaser. So this is not the full release. This is not the full reveal. It's a teaser. But like we mentioned just a couple of seconds ago here, yeah, we reported on the Lyriq-V coming back, almost a year and a half ago now at this point, over at CadillacSociety.com or at GMAuthority.com, either one. And it's going to be the first electric V series. So it will bring the V series into the electric era, if you will. And it will be for the 2026 model year. Because I believe it will be for the 26 model year. And so this is, even though this is a teaser, what they've done is they've released essentially two images and a teaser video that's about a minute and a half long, give or take. And so we could go through really what is on the what's on the exterior first, and then go into interior, and then I can give you some expectations about the powertrain. And like I said, all of this is I'm basing all of this on what we see in the teasers. There is no power numbers yet. There is no torque numbers yet. There's no performance figures. All that is coming at a later point when they are actually ready to fully reveal it. Okay, so the exterior, there's a kind of a matte silver color here. I don't really know if it's, actually silver or some other shade, but it looks to be silver gray, and it certainly appears to be matte. There is essentially a lot of sport trim elements here, so things from the Lyriq Sport, such as the black accents all around. And that applies to, first and foremost, the front end. So the grille, the upper LED crystalline grille is the same on the Lyriq-V. Appears to be the same, at least, as on the Lyriq Sport. But there is a new lower grille. So that lower grille has a different pattern to it. And it's kind of like this honeycomb pattern on the lower end of the fascia. And there appears to be a splitter as well. And that splitter, it's quite a bit more pronounced than the non-V Lyriqs. There is also a body color front bumper. So that lip that is essentially below the crystalline, the LED grille, that lip there between the two, the upper LED grille and the lower air intake grille, that lip is now body color. And it's body color because it essentially ties in with the body color wheel arch moldings that are found on the body side. So the regular Lyriqs, whether you go with luxury, premium luxury, before the luxury model was offered, or sport, they all feature black wheel arch moldings. The Lyriq-V features body color wheel arch moldings. And that's tied in, again, it really ties in through that, from that front fascia, body color front fascia clip. Everything else at the front end, from what I could tell, it's really the same. So it's the Galvano black, the black accents at the top of the hood line, the black accents around the vertically oriented and horizontally oriented lamps. And then there's that splitter at the very bottom, which is unique to the Lyriq-V. There is also a new treatment on the door lowers. So if you look at the this teaser from the side and you kind of zoom in, you'll see that there's essentially a grill-like pattern that that starts at the kind of the front doors and runs toward the rear doors, ends about 60-70% of the way through the rear door, and then at the end of that you have a V series badge. So that's really cool. There also appears to be a new lower kind of splitter at the, or maybe it's a rocker panel treatment, but there is some kind of a difference there, essentially at the bottom edges of the door. And then there's the wheels. So the wheels are black. They are essentially a triple split spoke pattern, and there is a V series logo that's etched into one of the spokes. If you look really closely, it's there. There's also red brake calipers on the model that's shown in the photos. Ironically, the model that's in the videos, it is actually different. It has not red calipers, but black or gray calipers. So that to me indicates that not only will there be a red caliper or a black and gray caliper, but probably there will be other colors. So if you look at the CT4V, CT5V, you could get red, blue, or black, gray caliper on there. There's probably going to be a blue caliper option here as well. And then that brings me to the rear. So at the rear, the only difference versus the production Lyriq that we can buy currently is the V badge on the liftgate, and then there is essentially a new lower part of the rear end there. So body color rear bumper that ties in with the body color moldings, the wheel arch moldings, and also it ties in with the front end there, the body color front bumper as well. And there's also a new black kind of lip right below that body color rear bumper, and it is a different shape, so a completely different shape from the bumper that's currently on the production models. Now, beyond that, sources tell me that there will be at least one carbon fiber package, an optional carbon fiber package that will be offered on the Lyriq-V, which will take all of these elements and probably take them to the next level from an aggressive standpoint or appearance standpoint. And I can't tell, it might just be me, but it seems like this thing is riding a bit lower than the production versions that we see currently. The big question for me is whether or not this is being accomplished via fixed ride height, meaning they just dropped it a bit, or if this thing is going to get a whole new suspension system, perhaps something like magnetic ride control with adaptive air control system, where you could basically raise and lower the ride height of the car. And so I really am curious as to how they're accomplishing the lower ride height. Is it via just a fixed damper and it's just dropped, or is it something else like air ride?
I agree. I think it's a lot lower, not by much, to the point that it's like obviously visible, but you can tell that it's lower, and it fits that movement toward that aerodynamic design, because you see quite a bit of it in comparison to the regular Lyriq. You see that lip design all the way on the bottom. It wraps around the vehicle. It goes all the way to the bend. They're really channeling air and moving it across this Lyriq in specific very differently than the regular one from what I can tell.
Yeah, and it does look very good. The Lyriq by itself already looks very good. Like whichever one you look at, luxury or sport, they all look very good already. But this thing takes it to a whole new level, in my opinion. This thing looks legit.
I really enjoy the paint color, though, to be honest with you. That matte color, for whatever reason, I've seen them on the road, matte colored vehicles, not in this specific gray, but they do pop. Your eye catches them quite a bit. I like the direction they're going with it. because you have the elements of shiny, and then all of a sudden it dips right into this beautiful, just matte finish. So you have that beautiful contrast going back and forth, plus the aerodynamic package that it's coming with.
Plus the lowered ride height.
It's looking good.
Yeah.
What about the inside? Any changes?
So inside, and by the way, on the outside, I think I'd be curious to see if this is in fact a matte color, which is something that we don't know yet. But if it is that, I have to wonder: is it going to be just one matte color that's offered, or will they offer several matte color options? Because historically, Cadillac has kind of offered one matte color per model year on a specific like special edition model, particularly V series models like ATSV, CTSV, CT5V Blackwing, CT4V Blackwing. Actually, did they offer it? Definitely in the CT5V Blackwing, probably not the CT4V Blackwing actually. But it would be interesting to see if it's just one for the Lyriq-V or if it's going to be a gamut of colors.
It'd be nice to have a few choices.
Oh yeah. So inside, there is a new steering wheel with essentially it seems to have a new shape entirely. There is also a V button on that steering wheel, which makes sense, and that V button probably puts it into a V driving mode of some kind. And then on the actual horn pad, there's the V logo, so it's no longer the Cadillac crest on the actual steering wheel. It's now the V logo on the wheel itself. And that's a change that is, I think, being synchronized with the 2025, refreshed 2025 Escalade V. So the 23 and 24 Escalade Vs all had the Cadillac logo on the steering wheel. For the 2025 model year refreshed Escalade V, it's getting the V series logo on the actual steering wheel horn pad as well. From what I could tell in the teasers also, there is a new gauge cluster graphic when V mode is activated. So that will be pretty interesting. And, they can do a lot of things there with that massive 33-inch curved display.
I think it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it really is. And then the steering wheel also has Super Cruise in it, or at least the indicator at the top of the wheel. It has that Super Cruise indicator there.
This is a different shape.
Different shape, different wheel. That's what it looks like. Yeah. Yep. I could be mistaken, but that's what it looks like from the teaser at least. Okay. So really the only thing, or things remaining for Cadillac to announce here are stats, performance specs essentially, and also the power and torque specs. Now, I do expect the Lyriq-V to have a dual motor setup with the same 102.5 kilowatt hour battery pack that we currently find in the Lyriq. And so essentially it would be the same kind of, overall the same configuration as the Lyriq all-wheel drive. So two motor setup, one in the front, one in the back, but it will be more powerful than the Lyriq all-wheel drive. So we could speculate a bit about figures. So for the 23 and 24 model years, the Lyriq all-wheel drive, again with the two-motor powertrain, it made 500 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. Now, what's interesting is that there have been some asterisks around those numbers. So first there is the velocity mode upgrade, which is a one-time charge, which is an over-the-air upgrade that essentially increases the torque from 450 on the Lyriq all-wheel drive to 524 pound-feet of torque, which is quite a bit healthier. And the other thing is that for the 2025 Lyriq, the power rating is uprated to 515 horsepower from 500. So essentially, the torque stays the same. This is just essentially a calibration type thing. It's really the way in which they're delivering the power. So it's not the result of any kind of hardware changes. It's simply that for 25, they figured out that the motors can make 515, so 15 horsepower more. Regardless of model year, essentially the Lyriq all-wheel drive can sprint from 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. So the Lyriq-V will actually make even more power and torque than this. We have that on very good authority, no pun intended. So essentially, you're going from 500 stock, 515 now for the 2025 model year. I can see the Lyriq-V coming close to 600 horsepower. And in fact, we do have a small indicator, maybe not a direct indicator, but a small indicator about what this could look like. And that indicator is called the Chevy Blazer EV SS, which shares the same platform as the Lyriq. And ironically, it was supposed to have launched for the 2024 model year. The Blazer EV SS never launched for the 24 model year. And it also never launched for the 25 model year, or it hasn't launched yet. But nevertheless, it will launch. Chevy tells us that it will launch for the 25 model year, and when it does, it will be rated at, get this, 595 horsepower and 645 pound-feet of torque.
Those are healthy numbers.
Very, very potent. So I can see, given the similarities mechanically between the Lyriq and the Blazer EV, I can see the two. I can see the Lyriq-V coming close to those numbers right there. And so overall, that's essentially what we know right now, and it's quite healthy. It's quite healthy. It looks good, and this is promising to be quite a vehicle. The only problem is that it doesn't make any sounds. It doesn't make any sound. There's no there's no engine note. There's no exhaust note. So I personally
put it over the radio.
Yeah, I guess they could do that, but it won't be an exhaust note. What's the point of doing that? They could just stick an engine in there and do that naturally.
The sad part about this is that you lose that.
Yeah, it's tough to market. It's tough to market a vehicle that's that's an EV, that's a high performance EV. It's just tough to market it because at the end of the day, you have a very fast, just blistering vehicle that can outperform, in a straight line at least, it can outperform most, exotics, or maybe not exotics, but at least supercars. And you don't know about it. You don't know that it's coming down the road. You don't know what's coming. And the cool thing about a high performance internal combustion engine vehicle nowadays is, well, it's coming. You're standing somewhere or sitting somewhere or whatever, and you hear it. So you know that there's something special, something fast, right, is coming. When it's an EV, you don't know. It just sounds like everything else, and it's silent, and it's, but it's deadly. If you're on the road with it and you want to do a little race, not that we condone road racing, but if you have that, then other people will be surprised.
I mean, you lost on the feedback of the those beautiful ice engines like you have in your Corvette. Because the thing is, it's as you're picking up speed, sound's picking up, vibrations are picking up. I mean, they do the best they can to keep it to a minimal, but you still want that. You want that feedback. You want to know what she's doing when you're shifting gears and stuff. So, but nonetheless, I do like what they're doing with this.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to me. I'm personally very curious. Beyond the actual power and torque figures, I'd be very curious to see what they're doing with the chassis. If it's a passive plus damper, which is what they're using currently on the regular non-V Lyriqs, or if they're going to take it to magnetic ride, which would be awesome, or if they're going to take it to even the next level, which is magnetic ride plus air. And I don't know if the Lyriq can support that because just based on how much space there is. But I do know that the architecture upon which the Lyriq is based, so the BEV3, battery electric vehicle 3, third generation, that architecture is capable of supporting airbags. So they can, if they wanted to, they could put magnetic ride or, maybe even a continuously dampening control, CDC style damper. They could put that in conjunction with the air ride control as well. And that would give it the ability to go up and down, essentially vertical movement, adjustable and selectable, while also delivering the response that they want from the damper itself, from the suspension. So that's one of the things to watch for, at least in my book, is what kind of a suspension will it have. And then, of course, the other stuff is, power, torque, performance figures, all that will be quite interesting as well.
I'm interested in the setup that they use as well for their suspension, just because you're losing quite a bit by going to EV in terms of feedback, in terms of just the experience altogether, but you're also able to access these new forms of ride comfort, performance on literally push of a button. You got a brand new vehicle, and it's fun. All right, before we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts on this one?
I'm just looking forward to the debut. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, this is a nice teaser. And if you watch the teaser, it's just funny how, typically in a high performance vehicle, like when the CT5e Blackwing launched, for example, right? You didn't need to put music tracks in there, right? You didn't need to do any of that. You just let the thing roar, and it kind of spoke for itself. Here, there's no roar, so they gotta put, amp it up in a different way. So now you got the music coming in and the cool sharp angles, just, vehicle is at a 90-degree angle or, 35-degree angle, and you're looking at it, and then all of a sudden it flips. So you really have to hype it up in a very different way than you could a high performance ICE car like a CT5e Blackwing or an Escalade V or anything like that. But yeah, you got to crank it up in a different way.
Turn up the volume.
Yeah, turn it up. Exactly.
Alrighty, everyone. Thank you all for joining us on the 16th episode of the Cadillac Society podcast. You can find this show at cadillacsociety.com/podcast and on the Metrolix Network YouTube channel. Please remember to hit that like button and give us a follow or subscribe. We're also on your favorite podcatchers, so be sure to subscribe and leave a review there. If you would like us to discuss something specific, you can now suggest a topic by going to cadillacsociety.com/podcast. And as we mentioned earlier, if you enjoyed this show, please share it, tweet it, put it on Facebook, send the YouTube link to your friends. The more people that know about the Cadillac Society podcast, the merrier.
Yeah, and stay tuned for our 17th show next week. We will have some interesting topics to cover then.
Looking forward.
I will just leave it at that.
So until then, be sure to stay in the loop.
Yeah, by going to cadillacsociety.com.
You would have known about this before if you would have.
They would have known about it in June of 2023. And we're recording this as we, live and breathe, at the end of October of 2024. So that's, from what I can count. I'm not like the best in math, but I think it's like roughly a year and a half.
Hey, if you want to be in the know,
CadillacSociety.com is where you got to go.
Ooh, I like that one.
That's good.
See y'all next time.
Bye.
Motrolix.
Cadillac Society is an independent enthusiast website and podcast and is not affiliated with, sponsored by, or otherwise associated with Cadillac or General Motors.